Welcome everybody to the live stream. It's a pleasure to have you back again today. Got my model Zach in the chair, who you may have seen in a previous video. We did a 2-block haircut, and I'm going to do something a bit similar today, and you can ask me questions and I'll endeavour to answer and show you what I'm doing. I'll talk about it as I do it. So I'll get them gowned up and we're good to go. So give me a shout, let me know where you're watching from and say hello. All right, so I've got a couple of clips. So first things first here, we need to clip the hair out of the way. This hair, it's hanging over the area that I want to cut. And the main thing about the 2-block is really we want to cut it in 2 blocks. So we've got all this long hair on top, and you can see it's actually collapsing there. It's collapsing forwards. So we'll be addressing that, and also this hair underneath. But I want access to that first. I like to cut the sides first. So I'm going to lift this up, and the comb's grabbing all the long hair, so I can see where it was clippered and where the scissor work was done from the last haircut, just by lifting it up like that. So let's lift that up. I'm going to try and make this line a little bit cleaner here. There we go. And I'll just use a hair gripper, Velcro hair gripper, just to grip that down out of the way there. Same again here. I'm going to drag that back. That's good, we've got that covered. So we've got short hair here, and I'm going to start this with a number 3. I'm going to clip her with a number 3. That'll take a lot of weight, and when the hair falls on top of it, it'll collapse in a little bit. Right, so number 3 on the clipper. And I'm going to go straight up, but I'm not going to take the clipper all the way to that line there, because I want a little bit of support for the long hair to lie on top of. So I'm going to go straight up without rounding over. Okay, I'll give you a side view of that so that you can see the angle that I'm taking with the clipper. So there, and then straight up and off. So if I place my comb there, you can actually see the kind of the direction. If I use my comb as like a guide, I want to travel up the comb and not over onto the head. So as I come around towards the back here, I'm going to be very careful not to get into the long hair that's above the occipital ridge there, that bone that sticks out the most, because I want to build up. This area isn't going to be disconnected. I want to actually layer down into shorter hair with the scissors, so I'll be careful not to wipe out that long hair. Zach, can I get you to tuck your chin down a little bit for me? Thank you. Okay. So you can see that there. I'm not gonna attack this hair at all with the clipper. Just glide up and off the ridge. So let me know, are you doing these types of haircuts yourself? Anybody tackled a 2-block or done a variation of it? This isn't the only way to cut a 2-block haircut. A lot of people would actually cut this with the scissors, and then they would have much longer hair on top falling over. But I'm doing it with a clipper. It's just my own take on it. So I've got this area cut now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut a short area here, and then I'm going to just taper up into both those areas. So if I make like just like a little short point on the side, say just there, and then I'll do the same at the back, but at the back I'm going to make it very square here. Completely square. I'm not going to follow around the curvature, and that's because I want to make these like sharp lines down the side so that it kind of pops out a little bit. Okay. So with that done, we can taper in this side here. I'm just going to use my big clipper, push the lever forward so I'm on a half. Just using my brush to get that stubble off. And I'll use a little bit of clipper over comb, so I'll just close the blade, and I'm going to use the comb to kind of shape this. So if I go in with the comb there, tilt the comb out a little bit. So I'm just using the comb and the clipper together to just create this little fade. I'm not going to go through like a range of numbers to try and create it. Just tilt out like that. And then at the front, just with the little trimmer, I'll bring you in a little bit closer. If I pull the teeth of the comb just to the hairline there, and then I can trim away, I know that that hair is not inside the hairline. That's starting to look quite nice. And at the back here, I'm just going to pull the ear down and just trim around. Stay on the edge of the hairline. Okay, I know some people like to go inside the hairline, but this hair is so dark that that's not necessary. With dark hair, you definitely get a lot of definition with your lines. And just here, I think I'm going to say I use my comb, right, and I follow this line round and just go straight down. I'm going to make a straight line, kind of just about there, all the way to the bottom. So that straight line's there. This is going to look really good as we begin to taper it now. So pull that back a little bit and let's do the taper. So half on the clipper, half guard position. And if I just get you tuck your chin down there a little bit, Zach, that's fine. And I'm just going to go in and kind of like flick the clipper like this, kind of out from the hair. So when it catches that line, it's going to lift off. Just like this. Now the big news this week, if anyone's interested, if there's any novice barbers here, On Monday, we're going to be launching the 1 Minute Barber Academy, where you can come along and learn a little bit more from me about how to cut hair. And it's a really good community where we can all interact. I can interact with you. I can have a look at your work. We can talk about what you need to do and what you need to learn. And there's a lot of tutorials in there as well. If you want to know more about that, there's a link down below. It launches on Monday. It is live now, so you can join, but go and have a look. And if it's for you, if you're just learning, it could be a really good place for you to further your skills and speak to other people in a similar position. Okay, number 1 now. Okay, so 1 on. And I'm just going to work up across this square line that I made at the back here. Get my brush. Keep your brush handy because it's useful for you to see where you're going and what you're doing with your cut. If you've got a lot of stubble there, a lot of cut hair just lying around, it's hard to see how you're progressing with what you're doing. So a 1.5 guard now. It's that same motion of just like twisting the clipper away. Once you hit the line, just twist it away. Okay, and now a number 2. Remember that the highest number we had here was a 3, so it's like 0, half, 1, 1.5, 2, slightly higher. Again, just working up here. So like I've just done this side of the head here. I'm quite happy with the way that that's fading in, the way that it's kind of tapered in there. And remember, all this hair is actually going to fall on top of it, so a lot of it won't be visible. It's going to collapse over there, okay? I am going to cut it, so it will be a bit more visible, but let's go around and do the other side now. So I'm just going to repeat the process here. The other big excitement today is Scotland are playing Germany in the Euros. So put your score predictions in the comments. Anyone? Scotland are going to win, of course. If anyone from Germany's watching, I'm sorry, but we're going to beat you, I hope. That's optimistic. Right. So same at this side. I'm going to copy, basically just do the 0 here. Oh no, wait, we started with a 3, didn't we? I'll carry on like I did last time. So start with the 3, just so that we can see the canvas. Somebody was asking me on YouTube this week, how do I part this head of hair? It was actually specifically on this video, how did I decide on where to make the parting? Well, I'm going to show you that in just a minute. As soon as I complete this side, we'll go on to the top and I'll show you how to choose the parting, how to select the parting easily. Ideally, it's best to go with the middle parting, or sorry, it's best to go with the natural parting in the hair if you can. It's not always suitable for the client's style, so I'll show you a method. The hair will always lend itself to the natural parting, so if you can use the natural parting, that's the best thing to do. So little zero there. And we've already cut across the bottom here. We cut that square. So, turn a little bit there. So the half, just go in with a half. And just to the line, and just kind of twist the clipper out from that line. And then I'm going to use clipper over comb just to smooth this in. You can angle the comb out, remember, to make a blend rather than going through like a number of different guards. I'm going to clean this up so I can see. Drop any questions in, by the way, and I'll just have a quick check before I go on to the top. I'll take a look at any questions that you have and I'll answer them, and then we'll cut the top. I'm going to be coming to that in just a minute. So just at the back here, I didn't go around this far when I was using the one. Normally I would just use one number. I go all the way around and then all the way back and backwards and forwards, but because I don't want to be moving the camera around constantly, I'm doing one side then the other. No issue with that though. And then the number 2. Right. Then we'll make this sharp line down the back again, remember. That's starting to look quite nice. And then at the ear, just hold the ear out of the way and use the corner of the trimmer blade. Trim round. This has still got a little bit of kind of like darkness just around this area here. So I'm going to use the fine teeth of the comb just to pick it up. And just try and fade that in a little bit better. When I say fade, I mean really it's a taper. But get a lot of people asking now, can I get a taper fade? Or can I get a mid taper fade or whatever? I don't understand that. I don't understand that request, because really a taper is just one thing. It's just the hair disappearing into nothing, whether it's on the sides or whether it's on the back. That's how I understand a taper. I don't know about you. Could you give me an example of where it's not that? Anything, in my opinion, above the hairline where you start with a zero, say you start about here and then go up, it's not a taper anymore. You're getting into a fade then. Okay, that's the back and sides covered. Let's scissor cut the top now. That'll be fun. Okay. Right, look at all this hair. Masses of hair, Zach. Absolutely. We'll sort it out. I'm going to show them just now, just as well, how to find the parting.
I think like what, 2 months?
2 months, is it?
I think, yeah, since I last got a cut.
So, you know, 2 months, you're talking about like 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. So it could be like 1.5 inches longer since you last had it cut, I would say. Be something like that. That's actually quite a good question, by the way. You know, if you're consulting with your client, is to ask them when their last haircut was, because if you ask that, get down lower. If you ask that, it'll give you an idea of how much hair you should be taking off. If you're just like, if it's a maintenance haircut, you know, especially if you haven't seen a client for a while, then knowing how long it's been, you can kind of judge how much hair you're taking off. The other giveaway sign, by the way, is neck hair, because you can look at how long the neck hair is, and that'll tell you exactly kind of how long it's been since it was cut. So I'm just wetting all the hair down. I always like to cut on wet hair. I'm sure you guys all know that now. But so this is a good way to find that natural parting. Okay, comb the hair back, straight back, so it's like in lines. Okay, and then just push it forward a little bit. Okay, and it'll start to separate. And with Zach's hair, it separates like right in the middle. Sometimes it's left or right of center. But that's the way to get the natural part, and it's going to style best right in that position right there. So this is really clean and good for cutting that as well. So I'm going to turn around just so you can see the back. I'm going to tackle the back first, and then we'll work our way towards the front. Okay. Well, you've got plenty of hair, Zach. You've got way more than I have, that's for sure. And right, let me get my big scissors. Okay. So at the back, remember, I was trying to create this kind of shape that goes like up like this, up off of the occipital bone. So any hair, we don't really want it to be kind of beyond this plane, this line. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this out, and I'll just kind of like look for a section right in the middle. Okay, there's like that short point, and I think we can take that away, and it'll kind of layer, it'll layer down, so there'll be hair coming down about there from the crown, and then layers down to this area. Hit the like button, anyone, if you have enjoyed the haircut so far. Give us a heart or a like. And now, by the way, I did say I was going to answer some questions, didn't I? I'll just have a quick look. Every time I do vertical over comb on the sideburn, it leaves a line. Why can't we create a WhatsApp community group? A lot of hellos from all over the world. Great head of hair. It is a great head of hair Zach has. And his brother's here as well, by the way. Max, come over here. I just cut Max's hair. It was his brother. You might have to duck down to say hello. Also another great head of hair, and we videoed that just earlier on. It's kind of like a mullet type cut. Why can't we create a WhatsApp group? Well, you could if you want to set up a WhatsApp group. The online community is a great place if you want to chat, because in the online community there's going to be a lot of feedback and tutorials and all kinds of stuff in there that will be useful to you for learning. And the clipper over comb question, how do I smooth that out? Well, I think maybe the reason is that your comb plastic is too thick. That could be a problem. If it is, you could just go through a range of clipper blades, you know, the 1/4 and the 1/2, and work your way up. That's the other way to do it. But quite fine teeth, or a comb that gets very close to the hair, to the scalp, and gets your clipper close, that's really useful there. So we're cutting across here. Okay. Someone says the hair runs in the family. It does. You lads are you lads half Japanese?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, half Japanese, so like Asian type hair, very strong, jet black hair, great to work with. Jet black hair, if you're making tapers, is so good because it really pops out. If you do the same thing on blonde hair, yeah, it looks good, but it doesn't pop out as much. So jet black hair, it's fun to work with. It's hard to work with. You have to be a little bit more accurate with it, but it does look good. So I've taken that bulk out of that area, and I'm going to just scissor over comb down now in here. Bring it in a little bit closer. So scissor over comb, slide the scissor in. I'm just going to pick up a broad section, and I'm just looking for like anything that's kind of like rough, any long bits, and work my way down from there. I'll step to the side of that as well. When you're doing scissor over comb like this, it helps to have a big scissor, like a 7-inch scissor. This one's ideal because you can pick up broad sections, and then you can look across the section, you know, like you can look into where the long hair is right across the comb. And if you're using a small scissor, well, you know, you're only picking up little bits and you can't see all the way across. It just makes it a little bit smoother using the 7-inch. I'm actually, you know, quite happy with the back, the way the back's sitting there. It's time for us to tie in the front and the top. So this is where the real skill is involved, okay? We're gonna use compound over direction. Anyone who's seen the video on this maybe already understands that, but basically I'm gonna take sections here towards the ear, I think. I'll stop there, and then I start pulling the sections back towards myself. But these sections also come down the way, so they're getting pulled back into, basically everything's getting pulled to this point here. Let me demonstrate. So pick this up, completely vertical with the fingers at this point, okay? Next section, again, vertical. I actually think right about here, I don't want to go any further forward here without over directing now, so I'm going to just go for about there. And as I work my way forward, it'll start to get shorter, but it'll retain the length into this kind of shape that kind of almost goes parallel with Zach's jawline. So we get a good shape, you know, a shape that on the hair that matches the face. So nice and smooth on top. You can see there just how straight that line is. I'm pulling it, just pull it back to there and trim to that. Okay, and then again, just smooth that out. And as you get more, you know, closer towards the front, you're going to have less and less to come off because that hair has a long way to travel to get back to this section. Finally, that last section on the front. Smoothing it right down. There's almost nothing to come off here, so I'm going to have to come back and address that because we do have to take some off of the front. It's too long there. And also one of the complaints that Zach has is that it's collapsing in this area, so there's too much weight here, right? So what I'm going to do is, I've got this basic shape, but I feel like, what do you think, like Zach, maybe have the hair sitting around about here?
Probably a little bit better. I can't really see it just now.
Is that
the mirror? But yeah.
So just about eye level. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll get the hand mirror and I'll show you that actually just before I continue. Now bear in mind that the hair will actually sit a little bit higher when it's dry, and it's going to wave a little bit. So I'm thinking like around about there. Is that okay?
It's better, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Right. So first things first, let's make that. I've taken a bit of weight out of this area. So I've got my big long scissor and I'm resting it about there. So I'm going to cut across there now. I'll just take us down to that length. I'm just resting it on the scissor, by the way. I don't need to pull it down under tension. It can just sit there. Now, this is going to be super heavy now because this isn't layered. So after I do the other side the same, when we're going to pick this up, we can pick this up in the middle and take some off, and that will reduce this weight line here. So let's go around the other side. Right. Bit of water. Okay, so start here, and I can take this straight out at this point here, cut that down, step forward, try and get them nice and clean, these sections. And I think I can start pulling back from here now into this over direction, this cut here. Pull all these sections back. Has anybody used this technique? Give us a little comment if you've used it, or a thumbs up if you've used this over direction technique on this type of haircut. I like using this technique. It's something that you can adapt to lots of haircuts. You don't necessarily have to be over directing for this style, but it's very effective. So again, remember, I've got this like kind of marker around about eye level, where maybe slightly below, because we need to remember that it's going to lift up slightly. Just comb this through. And I can just trim that away, I reckon. Right, so we've trimmed that away, but what I want to do is I'm going to bring you around here, Zach, and we'll just have a quick look from the front now at the balance of this. So let's pull it down onto the face. So right in the middle here, we've got like a little bit of a long bit. I'm gonna get rid of that. That's not doing anything. Just pull that down. Trim across. God, it's really humid in here, isn't it? Yeah. Humid, isn't it? Yeah. So I think I'm quite happy that shape there. Now I'm going to show you how to layer this on top. So let's brush this all back again. And this haircut's really starting to take shape. So look, all this weight here, right, it actually comes from up here, right in the middle of the head. Look, it reaches all the way to there. And then there's actually hair underneath here that reaches to there as well. You have a lot of hair, the ends of a lot of hair all ending at one point there. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to take a strip right down the middle, and I'm going to shorten that so that it kind of layers, and this hair from the top doesn't reach all the way to this heavy line there. And that'll stop us from getting that weight, that heavy weight, to some extent. The best way to do this is to cut it and then have a look and readdress it if you have to. So right at the back here, I'm just going to pick this up. There'll be a point. You see this point? So let's just take the point off, and that'll be right down the middle. There'll be a point. We can safely take that off, and that's going to take loads of weight out of these heavy areas. Wherever you have a weight line, it's always coming from somewhere else, you know. So it's like, it's always, if you have weight, search along the direction of the hair and you'll find it. It's coming from somewhere. So this hair now, let's have a look. This hair on the top, it reaches to about there, okay? It's reaching to about there. Lift the whole section up. I might take, what I'm going to do, I still feel like it's a little bit heavy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a strip here and I'm going to lift it out at 90 degrees and just look for like a little bit just to trim off. I'm not going to hit it with thinning scissors because we can leave that till it's dry if necessary. Right, I'm not going to go any further than that. I think that's much lighter now. I'm going to just check the other side, check to see how that's sitting. Right, let's dry it off and we'll see how it looks dry, and I might make some adjustments once it's dry as well. Okay. And scissors to blend my hair, and it grew out crazy like a porcupine. Of course it did. Yeah, so like thinning scissors, the biggest debate in barbering. Everybody talks about thinning scissors and should you use them and should you not use them. Well, if you go too close with the thinning scissors, what you'll do is you'll create little hairs, little short hairs, which will lift the rest of the hair. So it can often seem like you actually have thicker hair because it puffs it up. So the key thing is to use the thinning scissor on the end third of the hair. So for instance here, if I went close with the thinning scissors, it would lift the hair. Whereas if I thin this much, it's going to collapse. There's enough hair to collapse. So, right, hair dryer. I'll put it on the second hottest setting. So this has 3 settings. I'll put it on the second hottest, and then I'm going to cool it down with the cold setting as well at the end. Is that okay?
Yeah,
So, you know, if you want to learn more from me, as I was saying, go have a look in the description of this live, and you'll get a link to the 1 Minute Barber Academy. And I'm going to be in there doing Q&As. I can speak to you directly on live Q&As twice a week. And there's also new content going in there. And there's about 5 hours of video content already in there, ready to be watched. I hope you can hear me over the hairdryer. So now I'm going to bring you in a bit closer so you can see where we're up to. Brush this down now, like there is some weight there. You can see that even though we reduced it from the middle, there's still a little bit of weight there. I'll address that in just a moment. I don't know. Are you going to have this coming onto your face, Zach?
Or, just a little bit.
Or yeah,
just like curls at the front.
Just let it fall a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of create a wave at the front with my fingers and then let it just flow back after.
Okay, so I've got a little bit of weight there. I'm going to check that. I'll investigate the weight and we'll remove that. So here, right here, if I pick up hair in a section there, have a look at this section. You know, this hair, you know, it's long enough, it's reaching down. Could actually take some of the hair above it and that'll reduce that weight out a little bit. And the same here. That hair's falling down, so we can take a little bit out of there. I think what I'm going to do is I'll break this up a little just with some texture as well. Just chip in. I think that looks a little bit lighter, a little bit better there. And I'll check the other side as well. This side's sitting much lighter here. Let me see if I can show you. Very light there, but I think just this area here, I'm going to check to see if I can take a little bit there, a little corner off. But just one last thing there, I think I'll show you a little technique with the thinning scissor. Well, actually, I'm going to use this texture scissor here. I'll pull this hair back out of the way and I want to catch the hair underneath. And I'm just going to thin that and then pull this hair back on top. And that's reducing the weight line without leaving you with poppers on top. Poppers, as I would say. Right. So I'll brush it through. Right. So that's our end result. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you like the end result. You can see the taper at the back. I'm going to clean up this neck hair in a minute just with the foil shaver and the brush. And have a look around this side. There you go, it flows really nicely and it'll collapse onto the face as well. What do you think? Let me know if you like it. I'll show Zach in a minute. I'm glad you said perfect.
Cheers,
after that demonstration. Is that okay? Is that looking okay?
Great.
Okay. Okay, everyone, I'm going to get out of here now. I really appreciate you coming along and joining us in the live stream, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you.